Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this video, we are going to experiment with step back prompting. It's a new prompting technique that has been discovered by Google's DeepMind. If you are not aware about DeepMind, it is an AI first startup based out of the United Kingdom, and Google has acquired DeepMind in the last few years. And a lot of investment has been made by Google in this in DeepMind, and they have helped Google by different ways, through different solutions on to reduce their carbon footprint of the data centers. From that to now building up some cool AI models, and Gemini is also coming. That's what we heard. Now, DeepMind has discovered step back prompting, which sounds really cool. I mean, it's really important. So there are a few problems with large language model. They struggles when there is a lot of context. Now, suppose you have a lot of context when you retrieve from your vector databases, right? And LLM has this habits of ignoring the context in the middle part of your retrieved chunks. That's what called lost in the middle. That's one of the example. The other example is that when there is a lot of details, right, LLM kind of struggles to look at the right chunks or generate the right kind of responses. So there is a chances of hallucination as well. So step back prompting is going to be helpful when you are trying to do a RAG implementation. I'm talking about the applications where this can fit in. The one is the RAG implementation, where you want to retrieve some kind of information, where you cannot give wrong information to the end user. Now imagine if you're working in the regulatory industries like banking, insurance, financial services, you cannot give wrong response. You have to control the bit of hallucination as well, that or the wrong answers. Now that's where step back prompting will help. The other is mainly when you are querying the web. When you query web, that's also it's really important, because it has to go through the entire web. Based on the query that you are asking, it will retrieve a number of relevant links and the content, and then it has to respond. So they have initially released this to improve the RAG performances when it comes, and it's basically generate a step back questions based on the user's original question. Now you have one user original question, it can create a step back questions or n number of step back questions. We have seen this in LangChain's rephrase query as well, where you can look at rephrase query, where you can do the rephrasing of the queries that you are asking, something very similar. But here we are going to combine this with the prompting techniques as well. Now it gathers the information for both the original questions and the step back questions. So it has the normal context and again the step back context, and we feed those in our prompt templates. We're going to use the LangChain prompt template again here from the LangChain hub. We're going to use a prompt template that is available. I'll show that when I'm writing the code. So this is what we are going to do. This is more of an experimentation where we like to see the differences between the step back prompting and if you're not using step back prompting for the same query. So now let's start writing the code, guys, in our notebook and see how it's working. All right, so let's start our experimentation with the step back prompting here, and we're going to use LangChain, of course, and we'll utilize the LangChain hub, etc. So let me just open a new file in notebook, which is this notebook file, and yeah, let me just rename it, and I'll call it step back prompting, and I'll just rename. Now here what I'm going to do is install a couple of things. I already have LangChain and OpenAI installed, so I'm not going to install them. But I do need DuckDuckGo because we're going to search the internet, search the web. Okay, so I'm going to use DuckDuckGo -search. And the second thing is pip install LangChain hub, because we're going to use a couple of prompts templates from LangChain hub. And you can see it's going to install this. I'm using Anaconda. If you want to use if you don't want to use Anaconda and if you want to use it through some other virtual environment, feel free to use that. Okay, now it says, whew. Okay. Let's try it out from LangChain.utilities. I think it's utilities, right? Import. Let's see if DuckDuckGo got installed. Okay, so DuckDuckGo search API wrapper. Okay, it's at least got installed. I don't know why it did say could not install packages due to an OS error. Access is denied. Anaconda 3. This particular one. Uh, anyway, let's move on to our thing. Okay, now what we're gonna do is import OS. Let's import OS, and I'm going to do os.invan. I'm gonna set the OpenAI API key here. So let me just do that. OpenAI underscore API underscore key, and this is how you can set it. And then I will have my key that I already have. I'll delete this key after recording this, after the recording of this video. But here, this is how you set up an API. You can also set this through export and set, depending on what OS you are using, through terminal as well. Now let's prepare a prompt templates to generate step back questions, and we first need to like create some few short examples, so let's do that. So I'm going to do is from LangChain dot prompts and import chat chat prompt template, not message, and then few sort chat message prompt template. Okay, now we have okay, this looks good. Let me just add a few more cells and let's go up. Now let's have an examples. So examples is a list of, it's a Python list where I'm going to define a few source example that I will use it later. Okay, now inside this again, let's have a key value pair. We're going to have an input, and then we're going to have an output as well. So let's first write this couple of examples, so maybe something like can what we can do, can members of the police legally make arrests, okay, something like this. Okay, now you can also have something called, let's have an output. Now this output is going for the AI. Okay, this is where the step back examples are. Okay, now here I'm going to write what can members of the police do, something like this. Okay, now this is one of the example. Now after that you can also give few more examples. So let's give one more. Okay, I'll just copy it here and I'll just replace that. Okay, so in input, let's make this ask some other questions as well, like in what country was Jan Sentinel born. Okay, so Sentinel, let's write like this, and here what is Jan Sentinel's background, Jan Sentinel's background. Now these are a few of the examples that we have. So let me just run this now here. Now what we're going to do next is, guys, we're going to use chat prompt template that we have imported on top. So let's just call it example underscore prompt, and here in example underscore prompt I'm going to use chat prompt template dot from message. Okay, from messages, by the way, sorry, from messages. And here again, this is really, I took it there, but okay, fine. Now here is something that we're going to define our let's define our, again we can use the above examples. So first is the human thing. So human, actually excuse me, it will be in quotation, human. And so this is what we're gonna use, the input that we have inside the above examples. Okay, now this is okay. Now similarly for AI also we have to do. So let's do it AI, and for AI it's going to be the output one. Okay. Okay, now this is fine. So here let's call a variable called few sort prompt, where now we are passing the few sort example prompt in that few sort chat message prompt template that we have imported. So inside this, we're gonna pass here. Let me just go again here. Here's going to be example prompt. So my example prompt is nothing but example prompt, and my examples, you can see it over here. My examples are nothing but the examples. Okay, now we have few sort prompt with us now, and we can just use this variable wherever you want to use this entire workflow that we are working right now. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm gonna do prompt equals, I'm gonna use again chat prompt template dot from messages, and inside this again I will have a list, and here we're gonna have first system. So let's do system, and let's write, now give some role to the system, that what's the role of the system. So I'm gonna say you are an expert at world knowledge, something like this, and let's assign some task. So it's a role based prompting now that we are doing, a very simple role based prompting. Your task is to step back and paraphrase a question, to a more generic step back question, like which is easier to answer or something like that. Okay, here are a few examples. Let's also write that. Okay, where we're gonna give our and so let me just write it in triple quote doc string. It's it's better that way, so I can just make an extra line as well. Here let me just okay, which is easier. Fine. Now this is the system prompt that we are giving, and that is where we're gonna, after this we're gonna just pass the few sort prompt. So let's just do that, few sort prompt, and below then we'll have user. So examples we are giving to system, the system will look at those few sort examples, the prompts together, and we are using a role based prompting, a very simple role based prompting. Now here let's write for user. So we're gonna do user, and this user is nothing but it will take the question. So let's just do question here. Okay, now this is done. So prompt thing we have sorted with our prompt thing now. So now let me just maybe add few more here, cells, and in the markdown let me just write preparing the chain to generate step back questions. Now let's create a chain that can look at these instructions and then generate some step back questions. Now, so what we're going to do is for that is from LangChain, dot chat models. Let's use the chat models and let's import chat OpenAI. So chat, you can see how many chat models it supports. Okay. Now the second is from LangChain dot schema. Schema dot, you're gonna need an output parser. So let's see that if the class is, yes, the module is there, output parser, and I'm gonna do import. I need the string one. Okay, string output parser, fine. Okay, now here is, let's create our chain. So question underscore gen variable, and let's call it, first is the prompt, and then pipe. I'm using pipe from the keyword, and this is how you can also create a chain. Chat OpenAI, and here I'll keep temperature as like 0, or let's call it 0.1, and or better to call it 0. Let's have 0, no creativity or randomness. Okay, so string output parser, it's a function. Okay, now if you just do a question gen here, you can find out this. It says runnable sequence. It has all the verbose details that you might need. Now let's generate some step back questions. So what I'm going to do here is let's do a markdown again, and let's add 5 4 cells extra, and here let's do generate step back questions now. Okay, so let's have the question here. So let me just write question, and I can have a question here. So let's think what kind of question we can have. Okay, so I'm gonna ask let's ask this question: did chat GPT exist when donald trump was donald trump was the president? Now I'm asking this. Now suppose this is my query or question. Okay, and so let's now use the chain that we have above. So for that, what you have to do, you just have to do question gen dot invoke, excuse me, question gen dot invoke, and invoke, you're just gonna do, it's a key value pair. So question, because that is what we have defined above, our question is nothing but the question. And you can see a question that we now got. It says, when did ChatGPT come into existence? And this is the step back question that we have created according to the question that we have asked. Okay, now let's create a retriever. So let's here create a retriever. So let me just do a markdown thingy again, and retriever, I spell retriever wrong. Retriever to collect info from web search. Now here we already have DuckDuckGo search API wrapper, so let's call it search, and then DuckDuckGo search API wrapper, and let's keep maximum results at 5 or 6, something like that. Let's keep it 6. And it gives you, it says, could not import DuckDuckGo search Python manager, please install with pip install DuckDuckGo search. This is really strange because we do I think we tried installing it, but let's see it out. Just after this cell, we're gonna add one more. This is, ooh. Okay, so there were some issues. I don't know what wrong I was doing, when I was doing duck DuckDuckGo search. I really don't know. I mean, there was some dependencies, so something was wrong there. But anyway, now let's see that. So we got our, it's got installed now finally. So let's define a retriever. So let's call it define retriever, and here I'm going to pass my query. So let's pass the query over here, and then just do a return. So let's return the search dot run. Okay, that's what we're going to run, and pass the query inside. It's a function that we can use it. Okay, now let's run the retriever here, guys. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the function here, retriever, and I'm just going to pass my question. And it gives you an answer. It says true about this rating on Twitter users. Twitter OpenAI tool ChatGPT declined a request to write an AI generated blah blah blah. Donald Trump wants to know something, something wrong, probably. So this is not the right response, guys. Okay, so or maybe what we can do, we need to so run retriever on this. Let's do one thing. Okay, here, so let's first do retriever. So retriever dot question gen dot invoke, and here I'm gonna write question and then question. it says function object has, okay, this, sorry, it's a function object. I was doing wrong. Okay, now this will be inside a function. And it says, let's delve into the fascinating history of ChatGPT, blah blah blah, and the response that we got. But this is not our final response, guys. Okay, so we will now do, now we'll get the step back answer prompt template. So we need a prompt template from LangChain hub. Let's do that. So from LangChain, let's do that. From LangChain import hub. So that will be from LangChain import hub. I don't know why I'm not able to write import. And we're going to use LangChain hub. If you don't know, LangChain has a LangChain which it has hub for prompt templates. Okay, that you can use it. Now we're going to use response prompt, and I'm going to pull that. So you do hub.pull. It has a pull function that you can use, and here you can write. So I'm going to use LangChain and LangChain AI, and I'm going to use the step back answer. Step back answer. Okay, let's use that, guys, here. So the content, if you want to find out, right, you just have to come here and let's copy this, and you can find it out here. And you can find out it there also in notebook, and you can also find it out here. They have, so the prompt template that you can find it out over here, right? It says you are an expert of world knowledge. I'm going to ask you a question. This is the prompt template for this particular step back answer. Okay, now this is what it is. So this is how you get it from here. This is a LangChain AI where you can find out n number of prompts template that you can utilize it. Suppose if you are not a very good prompter, so you can use this prompting things from the prompt template from here. You can find it out a lot of different type of prompt templates. Okay, RAG Fusion is one of the example that you can use. RAG Fusion query generation. Now let's go back to our notebook, and in our notebook, now what we have to do, now we have to prepare a chain that, so let me just add a few more thing here, and let me just call it markdown, and I'm going to call prepare a chain that uses the step back answer prompt template. Let's write that. So here, now what I'm going to do is from LangChain dot schema dot runnable. So we have a runnable sequence, and if you're going to use the runnable sequence, and I'm going to just import runnable lambda. So let's use the runnable lambda module from LangChain. I'll explain that what we are going to do. Now here, let's create a chain. So chain equals, so the first is normal content. We're going to pass the normal context, and in this normal context, we're going to use runnable lambda, because we're going to use lambda. We would have done a lot of lambda features of Python that we have used, right, when we were learning Python. Single line execution. Now x, and the x is nothing but the question that goes as an input. It's with a variable, the question, and then you will have again I'm using the pipe because we are creating a chain here, and I'm just going to write the retriever. Now this is the normal context. Now the step back context. So here let's write step back context, and the step back context is again only the question chain that we have created the chain, and only the retriever chain here. So this is retriever, and this looks nice now. Now we have one more thing to do here. After that, we need the question. So let's do a question, and this question is nothing but the lambda of x colon x, and this is your question. Okay, now this is fine. So let's create one more pipe here, and the response prompt, and then goes your model, which is an LLM. So we're going to use chat OpenAI. Let's write the temperature again here equal to 0, and then we need a parser. So we are using string output parser. Where did it go? So this is our chain now. So this is a chain for step back answers from template that we have imported from, or we have pulled from LangChain hub. Okay, now this is the chain. What we are doing, we are first passing the normal context, the step back context, and question as parameters. These are your parameters, guys. And then we have the other chain that we have. This basically looks like this. See this as your end chain, the final chain that we're gonna use. Okay, now let's just run this. So now we have chain. So let me just do a chain here. Now once you do a chain, again you can find out a verbose description. All the steps has been defined like a pipeline inside that chain as well. Now let's use that chain. So I'm gonna do is chain dot invoke, and here it's a key value pair. So question, and then goes your question. And it will take a bit of time because you can see the steps and the instructions within the chain that we have given. Let's see what it gives. It serialization, and it takes one positional argument, but two were given. Let's see that. Chain invoke question. And then our chain is the normal context, the runnable lambda, the lambda of x, the question, and then we have the retriever. This is good. Step back context, question chain, and retriever. This is good. Question, lambda x, question. This is also right. Then we have the response prompt, the chat OpenAI, string output parser. Really strange. Getting takes one positional argument, but two were given. There's something wrong with this. Run manage the chain. What we are doing? Response prompt, chat OpenAI string. Okay. This is not. This is a function. Okay, that's why it's an extra. It looked like an extra argument within the chain when we were running it. This is a function, so we have to write it like string output parser. Now let's run it and chain, and then chain dot invoke, where we have a question, and then this question is that we have asked. Which question did we ask? Did ChatGPT exist when Donald Trump was the president? Now let's see what it responds. It says, based on the given context, it is not explicitly mentioned whether ChatGPT existed when Donald Trump was the president. The information provided only states that ChatGPT was launched by OpenAI in late November, whatever, but it does not specify the timeline of Donald Trump's presidency. Therefore, without additional information, it is not possible to determine whether ChatGPT existed during Donald Trump's presidency. Now, this is the answer that we have got, guys, from this step back prompting, which is like an indeterminate answer, which says, sorry, I don't know, or I'm not aware of it. And I feel that is good to, for a lot of use cases when we work with the RAG implementations, right? Because in the regulatory industry, you cannot return a wrong answer. At least you say, sorry, I don't know about it. Now let's add a couple of more cells here, and let me just add a markdown. And in the markdown, now what I'm going to write, if you don't step back, okay, if you don't step back, now this is what I'm writing. Okay, and let me just do this. Okay, if we don't step back, what will happen? Let's see that. So let's prepare a prompt template. So I'm going to say response prompt template, and here let's have a docstring, and inside this let's write, you are an expert of the same thing, right? World knowledge. I'm going to ask you, let's copy this from here, guys. Okay. Let me just copy this thing at least. Okay. And now come back here. Otherwise ignore or something. Okay. You are an expert of world knowledge. I'm going to ask you a question. Your response should be comprehensive and not contradicted with the following context if they are relevant, and if they are relevant, and otherwise ignore if they are not relevant. So this is what I have written here. Now after that, let's write the normal context as a context. This is acting as a context in our case, which is normal context, and I'm not using any step back thingy here. Okay, now let's do an original question. So let's write that. So original question, and this is your question. So let's just write question, and then you will have answer below it. So let's just do an answer which is like a helpful answer for you. Okay, this is my response prompt template, and now I'm just gonna call it one more variable here, response prompt again, and I'm gonna use chat prompt template from messages, and let's here give your response prompt template. Okay, it says single encountered in format string. Whew. So this question, original question, the normal context, this is fine. We have normal context, right? Yes, normal context. Okay. And after that, then we have the response prompt, which is chat prompt template dot from, not from messages. This is the wrong. It should be from template. Okay, and then we have response prompt template. Fine. Now let's have a chain, and in this time, this chain is going to be without step back thingy. So let me just do again. Let me just copy this from the normal context thing from here. So let me just copy this and come down. Let's paste it here, the retriever thingy, and then the question. So let's go back and let's just copy the question thing from here. Now the question will go here. The question remains lambda x of xh question, and then after that you use the pipe thing to carry on the chain, the next step, the response prompt, and then the extra pipe here for LLM, which is chat OpenAI, and our temperature remains 0. We don't want to be creative, otherwise it might hallucinate because we are searching internet. And then again the string output parser, but make sure it's a function. Okay, we are not just going to write like this. Now our chain is ready. Now let's just do chain.invoke, and here again a key value pair. So question, and then goes your question. So question. So if you see the above answer by step back prompting when we used, it was a very good answer. I will take this answer. At least it's not giving you a wrong response. And it says, and we get the similar response here, by the way, for this one. It says based on the given context, but the thing is, based on the given context, not explicitly mentioned whether ChatGPT exists. Let's try it out asking some other questions. Do you recommend? Maybe you can play around it, right? But anyway, I'll ask one more question. Okay, let me ask some event related question. Who won the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup? It's currently happening. Okay, let's see what kind of response I get. And you can see the question that has been rephrased. Which team emerged as a champion in the 2023 ICC World Cup? And I will not just going to install this. We already have. So search, retriever question. And sometimes it might give you some error, guys, because if you are using DuckDuckGo, you might get some proxy related errors. It might block your IP sometimes. So don't worry about it, and this is fine. Now let's run this, run the chain.invoke question, and let's see what the response we are getting. And I also wanted to evaluate this. I don't know if this is the only way of doing it, but this is how I am doing. Okay, I wanted to evaluate step back prompting mainly for the regulatory industries like financial services, the banking industry, the insurance industry, because where you cannot give wrong responses while you RAG implementation, and that's why step back prompting is important. Now let's ask without that. and if it does not make any changes, I feel it's okay, because if your prompt template again remains the same, so it does not matter. Okay, to determine who won the tournament. Now let's ask one last question probably, and this question is going to be uh, who won the uh, 2022-23 English Premier League trophy. English Premier League trophy. And let's see the rephrased question. You can see who are the champion of the English Premier League in the 2023 season. This is right. And now I'm gonna again do DuckDuckGo, retrieval results question. Man City has won that, so that's the. I hope that it gets the right answer. And you can see. Let me just do that. Chain has been prepared. Chain is there. Now let's see the response. I hope Man City is the answer. Let's see what answer we get from this thing. Okay. So I really like the Donald Trump answer, guys, which was really very indeterminate. Okay, and you can see the answer we got. Man City won the 2022-23 English Premier League trophy. They were crowned champions for the third consecutive season, under Pep Guardiola. And now let's go to this thing, chain, and this is our last try. The reason is I wanted to give you this experimentation code so you can play around it. The code will be available on the GitHub repository, and you can find out. This is a bit of short answer, not that verbose, but again that's the right answer. Okay, so maybe you can ask some questions about the current going conflict between the Gaza and Israel, like Palestine and Israel, or the Ukraine Russia, and ask those kind of tough questions, some mathematical question, and see how it responds. So this is what we wanted to do in this video, guys. I wanted to show you an experimentation with step back prompting in a notebook. So the code will be available on my GitHub repository. Please go fork it or extend it further. Let me know your findings when it comes to step back prompting. That's all, guys, for this video. If you have any thoughts, feedbacks, please let me know in the comment box. You can also reach out to me through my social media channels. You can find my social media credentials on the YouTube banner and also on the channel About Us. You can watch off my previous videos. I have n number of videos on LLMs, generative AI for beginners, deployments, RAG, etc, etc. Please subscribe the channel if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, and do like this video and share the video and channel with your friends and to peer. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.